This is one of my childhood best friends, and we were trying to figure out the other day how long it's been since we've seen each other, and we couldn't figure it out. Um, Audrey moved from my hometown in Bolton Lake, second grade. Is that right? Third
Mm,
grade?
first grade.
First grade. Somewhere. Um, up to Traverse City. Her parents are both teachers, so my mom was with her dad as a PE teacher at the high school. He coached football. She has an older sister, Annie, and Annie was in my brother's grade, so we our families hung out a lot. She was next door neighbors. We did a lot of things together, so when she moved away, it was a little sucky for me. But um, she then went to school out of state and now lives in California, where she teaches fitness classes in Southern California, and then does some design with fashion and also some dancing on the side as well. So she's going to tell you more about her story. And yeah. All right, you're on.
All right, here we go. So, good morning. Let me know if you guys have any questions at the end. I got some awesome questions from you that I'm just going to run through in combination with telling my story. Um, and then, yeah, at the end, would love to hear from you. So, yeah, I'll start where the story kind of left off. I went to high school up in Traverse City and tried a lot of different things before my parents finally let me try dance classes. And it got to the point where I was going to school all day and then was at the studio from the time school got out until about 9 p.m. So, really quickly, dance became my thing that I did always. It was my passion. Um, I also had a job in high school that I babysat a lot and then worked when I could. So from there, it wasn't until I was a senior in high school that I made the decision about, yes, dance is something that I want to continue to pursue. So senior year of high school, went to a lot of auditions, did 7 auditions for schools that had dance programs, ended up deciding to go to the college where they offered me the most scholarship money, which was in Pittsburgh. It's called Point Park University. While I was there, I really wanted to optimize everything I could. So I got a degree in journalism as well. Also worked as an apprentice to the head costumer at the dance department, which crossed over with the musical theater program. So I was making dance costumes, doing musical theater work in their costume shop. So we really found a way to utilize everything I loved. I come from a background where my grandma's a seamstress, my mom's a seamstress. And so designing, sewing, things like that were kind of in my blood, whether I wanted them to be or not, they were there. So when I was in college, I really wanted to make sure that um, I wasn't just doing one thing, that I was really using up every resource that I had. So was working a couple jobs, worked as the apprentice, also studied journalism and studied dance. So the way that it works is studying dance in college, you can do it a million different ways. Um, I decided to get a dance degree. You can do a dance minor. You can audition for the dance team. You can teach dance classes. I mean, it's so unlimited. Options are abounding. I mean, dance is everywhere, and just looking for it, you'll find it. Um, so after I graduated, I moved home for a year back to Traverse City and worked, saved up money, um, did a lot of dancing, taught dance classes at the studio where I grew up dancing, um, worked at a company. It's called Miracle Productions, and they basically provide college students and postgrads with opportunities in that you do audition for it, but they put on summer musicals in Traverse City every summer. I don't think they're doing it this summer, but there's a lot of companies that do that in Michigan, where it's called summer stock, where you go away for the summer, do dance shows. But yeah, this one, it's a great way to dance, use whatever you want to, whether it's dancing, singing, designing, to put together a production. So I would do that in the summers when I was in college too. So yeah, I did that for a year. and worked a couple jobs also before moving out to California. So really wanted to save money. That was my goal. California is a little bit more expensive than pretty much anywhere else in the United States. So yeah, moved to California and have been there for about 2 years now, teaching barre. So barre is basically, it's dance based, but you take really small movements. It's basically like the hardest things about a ballet class put in a 60-minute workout class. So there's a little bit of cardio. It's a lot of strengthening, toning, and it's really fun because we use upbeat music and the class flows really nicely. You get to end and you're like, wait, that was a whole hour. So we really try to make it fun, and I love that it comes from dance. So dance offers a really wide variety of workouts. There's Zumba. There's a really big one coming back right now is jazzercise. People are loving jazzercise right now, which was a huge thing in the 80s. So I love that it's coming back. It's a lot of fun. I have friends that do it all the time in California, and yoga is great too. It's not quite as fast paced, but it's really good stretching and strengthening. I mean, yoga is awesome for upper body strength, but there's a million different ways that dance lives in workouts um, all over the world. So um, it was. I'm going to go back to some of your questions now that they're in front of me. So I'm not looking away. I'm just looking at the questions. It was hard moving from Holton Lake to Traverse City because it meant everything was new. It meant change. It meant nothing was really comfortable anymore. But thankfully, I kept the friendships that I had when I was younger. So it wasn't everything was changing. There was still some comfort. Um, so yeah, it was hard, but it was so good to be able to go through the process of, okay, everything is new, everything is different. How am I going to react? What am I going to do to make things comfortable, to find the things that I really want to be doing? Yeah, and so it was hard, but it was really good. Ended up being a good thing. Dance and design have been in my life always. So it was kind of the thing where it's in front of you and you can't deny it. So you just have to go for it. I didn't know that I wanted to study dance in school until I had to make that decision when I was a senior in high school. And I was like, okay, everyone's asking you, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And it's the worst question. I always hated that, people being like, okay, what's your next step? And it was like, I'm living in the present right now and it's great, but it just kind of came to a moment where I couldn't deny it. I had to choose. So yeah, I just kind of took stock of where I was at and what I wanted. And dance was really the only thing that really spoke to me about what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. So that's honestly how I chose dance. And then, like I said, in college, found other ways to bring in everything else that I loved. And it was hard work. It was a lot, but it was so worth it. Um, I wouldn't change anything about what I did in college. Um, Moving to California, honestly, I went because I could. My sister lives out there too, so we live together now. And I don't know if I could have done it if it would have just been on my own, moving to a new place, especially this far away from home. But that's something you learn too, where you're getting to the point where things start changing, whether you do college, whether you go into work, like whatever ends up happening, home is always going to be there. So you can always come back to it. And that's a really cool thing about home. So had to learn that moving out to California, and also went away for school. So that kind of helped establish the thought of like, okay, home is something you come back to. Um, did I enjoy being able to start over? Yes and no. There's always this sense of wanting to hold on to what you've created where you are, but it's always so good to shake it up a bit and move. And when I first moved out to California, the very first job I got was working as a mermaid at SeaWorld. So it wasn't necessarily dancing, but it was performance based. So I loved that. Um, the next job that I had was singing in the production of Hunchback of Notre Dame in La Jolla, and also not dance based, but also a way for me to just stay in the arts, to stay around people who were doing the things that I wanted to be doing. Because there was a definitely like higher up in the cast where, Esmeralda, Quasimodo, like all of the main players, they were dancing, they were singing, they were on stage and everything. I was just in the choir, which was kind of like the backdrop for the whole thing. So it was great, and it was a lot of fun just to be around them. And now the girl who played Esmeralda is Hot Girl on I forget what the show is called. I think it's on the CW. So just being around the people who are in the industry that you love to be in, it makes a huge difference. Because I could have gotten a job doing whatever else, anywhere else, but yeah. And the crazy thing about Hunchback was that I didn't get paid. It was a volunteer position. So sometimes you got to take the jobs that are like maybe not what you want to be doing. Maybe they don't pay, but it's so worth it. So yeah. Growing up in high school, yeah, I struggled with it sounds like I'm having a conversation with myself, but I'm really reading your questions. I struggled with the perfect body image of a dancer. It's so easy to look around and compare yourself to everybody else, but it's so not worth it. It's such a waste of time, because the sooner that you step into your own uniqueness and your own individuality and just kind of accept it and love it, and like you really discover how unlimited you are, and how there's so many rules in place, it seems like, when you're moving up through life. But not all of those rules apply to you. When you look at a situation, you say, okay, that's how it's done. Not necessarily. And so I thought that because I didn't have perfect turnout, because I wasn't, guys, when I started dancing, I was terrible. Like I couldn't point my foot. It was like, I didn't know what was going on. So to be able to say that I went to school for dance is a really cool thing for me. But yeah, it just took hard work and recognizing that I did not have the body of a ballet dancer, and it was okay. It was more than okay, because it meant it was me. And I wasn't limited to the things that other people were limited to. So the sooner I think you make that connection, like the better it's going to go for you in the long run, which is awesome. Yeah. So living in California compared to Michigan, it's a whole nother world. Having my sister there, having family there has been really great. And just being out there for a couple of years now, I have an established friend group, and it's been really awesome. But it was hard at first, not knowing anybody, trying to put yourself out there, being like, okay, where do I work? The job that I work in right now, it's for a company called Studio Bar. And Bar is kind of up and coming in the fitness world, but there's another company called Pure Bar, which is really similar. There's Bar Method, there's Daily Method, and all of those run along the same line. All of those are franchises, and a lot of places have their own bar classes that are a separate fitness studio. So sometimes they make you go through training, and I had to go through training for mine. Went to an initial audition where they just kind of had you talk through a part of class, and from there they could see your potential and then took you on as an instructor. So I found that job on Craigslist, just by the luck of looking and like kind of being desperate for a job and wanting to dance. So you really never know what you're going to find in the strangest places. So yeah, moving over into the design a little bit, working as the apprentice in the costume shop was like the best thing I could have done for myself in college. Because from there, it led me to realize that, okay, this could be a job. This could be a career. It's not just something I'm doing to get through school and to help pay for it. It was fun and it was exciting, and it put me around dance. So yeah, I think that's a really cool thing, being able to find things that aren't necessarily dance itself, but put you around it. And it couldn't cross over into anything, whatever you want to do. Maybe you don't want to dance the rest of your life, which is awesome. Whatever you want to do, as long as you are putting yourself around it, it's kind of fuel to the fire of your passion. So it helps. But this is kind of fun question. I have not met anyone famous in the design industry. I met Heidi Klum once, but that's because we went to Good Morning America, and it was like totally, I didn't even know she was going to be there. So, and it was really quick. Guarantee she wouldn't remember me. But famous dancers, yeah, because you're around them, and that's honestly how it happens, is you spend time taking class or going to places where those people are, and you meet them, you bump into them, but it doesn't really define your career. I mean, sometimes it does for people. Sometimes you meet somebody and that's how you get connected with something, but it doesn't necessarily speak to the success that you're going to have. Yes, I enjoy what I do. Sorry, that's not where I'm reading the question. What is my life goal? That's such a good question because I don't know. I honestly don't have one. Um, I'm really trying to take it one day at a time where I'm not defining success by what other people are doing or what I see other people have going on in their lives, because that's another thing that comes with comparison. Growing up, struggling with comparing my body to other bodies of dancers and like, why don't I have those legs? Why don't I have that? It's not worth it, comparison. So yeah, my life goal is to keep doing what I'm doing one day at a time. I would love to be in a place where dance and design are my main income, where I'm supporting myself completely based upon those two things. And I know it's going to happen because of the way that I've worked my whole life. A lot of it is just working hard and looking for opportunities and making sure you don't limit yourself. I think it's really easy to get into a place where you look at what's around you and you think, man, okay, I have this and that. And like I have college or I have this. And it's so much broader than that, so much more broad. So yeah, what I would say to young dancers who want to continue dance further on, just keep doing it. Keep working hard. It's so easy to get kind of frustrated and exasperated and wonder like, okay, what's next? Or why am I doing this? What's the point? But dance is something that you don't work one day and then wake up the next day and think, okay, yeah, look at how much progress I made overnight. Unfortunately, some days are like that, but not nearly as many as, over a long period of time, you can look back and see progress. So I just say keep working at it. Know that even though it's not an immediate satisfaction where, yeah, like I said, it's changed from one day to the next, stick with it and know that dance isn't just, okay, I'm going to a studio or I'm going to class and I'm dancing, but it's in a lot of different things in life. And you just got to keep looking for it and you'll find it. So, yeah. So the culture of dance and design, this question is, what is it like? Is it different in each of the states you have been in? Yes and no. Growing up, I went to a lot of dance competitions and we traveled to Chicago or New York or California to compete. And honestly, the only way that that happened was because my mom, being a seamstress, she would barter. So she would make our costumes in exchange for being able to pay for some of my tuition, which so thankful that happened. I wouldn't have been able to keep dancing if it weren't for that. Um, so the culture of dance in college, because I was a dance major, the program was like this tiny bubble that people hardly ever got outside of. They hung out with dancers, they went to class with dancers, which, I mean, it's kind of hard to avoid when you're all in the same program. Um, but I think I survived the program, honestly, by not hanging out with dancers. Not that they're bad or anything, but I just wanted more variety and I wanted to experience people and I wanted to not limit myself by saying I'm a dancer. I always really dislike that when people say, "Oh, I'm a dancer." I mean, yeah, that's what you do, but you're a person who loves dance and who's really interested in dance and pursuing dance, but you also love all these other things. So I feel like just saying I'm a this, I'm a that really limits yourself. And I'm all about not having those limits. So the culture is so different in California, whereas it's really every person for themselves, which is not where I came from at all. I came from a place where you're stuck in the wintertime in a ditch on the side of the road, and the next person who drives by with a hitch will pull you out. In California, it's kind of like, oh, that stinks, which I'm like, come on, you guys. Like, life is so much better when we all work together and help each other out. So yeah, the culture is so different. It's really different in a good way in California, in that everybody is pursuing something. So you meet a lot of entrepreneurs, you meet a lot of people who are top in their industry because they've worked really hard and they've come to a place where that happens all the time in California. People get an idea and they go there. And I don't really know what it is about California, but maybe it's because we don't have wintertime, so you can actually get out and like make things happen all the time. Not that wintertime is limiting, but something about having sun all year round really encourages that. Yeah, there's just a lot of entrepreneurs. So a lot of people gathered in the same place who are trying to make things happen. So it's really easy to meet somebody who can help you or who can make that connection happen. So I think that's why. And I mean, LA being the capital kind of the entertainment industry, people kind of span out from that. So um, I've been to New York a little bit and really like the dance that's happening out there. I think it's really important to keep in mind that dance isn't just one thing. It's not just Broadway. It's not just working in like performing on stage. But I went to school with a lot of dancers now who are on cruise ships, dancing in their entertainment. Yeah, just in their entertainment group and loving it. My best friend, college roommate, just got done doing a 6-month contract with a cruise line and traveled everywhere and had the most fun. And you're staying on the ship, so you're just kind of making money and saving it up and then going to all these tropical, nice, amazing places. She went to Alaska and the Bahamas and I mean, everywhere, Australia. So you're traveling, you're making money, saving money, and doing the thing that you love. Um, and that happened by having, I think she had 2 months of rehearsals before they boarded the ship, and then they perform either once every 2 days or once every night. So it just depended on the ship's schedule. I have a lot of friends who are doing performance work in commercials right now. So I don't know if any of you have seen on, I think it's on YouTube, there's that commercial with the dancing emojis or where the emojis on your phone come to life and there's a girl in a red wig and she's the emoji that's like this. I went to school with her. Her name's Lily and she's awesome. And there's just so many different things you can do with it. So yeah. How has your family supported you through this journey? Big time. My favorite quote growing up was, if you believe in yourself and someone else believes in you, anything can happen. And the thing that I'm learning as I grow more and more, because I'm by no means at the top of my game. Another cool thing about dance is you can just continue with it for a long time. But that quote, I mean, it stuck with me. If I didn't have those two things, someone believing in me believing in myself, it wouldn't have happened for me at all. And the thing I'm discovering more is the second half of that. You have to believe in yourself in order for you to get anywhere. There are days where it hits you and you're like, what am I even doing? This is so hard. Why didn't I just do something else? Why didn't I just pick an accounting major and I would have a job always and be making really good money? But then you wouldn't be doing the thing that you love. So I think it's just important to find that thing that you can see yourself doing every day the rest of your life and go after it because it's so worth it. Yeah. And then you'll find support where you go because there'll be other people doing the thing that you want to do and they'll support you because they get it. So what is your favorite style of dance? I studied modern in college. That was my concentration for my degree, but they make you study everything: ballet, jazz, tap. There's hip hop thrown in, there's contemporary, but I would say contemporary jazz is my favorite. Like what you see on So You Think You Can Dance. That's like, yeah, my favorite. I'd love to do more ballroom. I just took a ballroom class last week in San Diego and had a blast. So yeah, dance spans a lot. There's so many different kinds of dance. So it's really fun to explore them too and see which ones you like the best. So what has been the most fun through your journey? Every day. Just sometimes I have expectations for what's going to happen during the day if I'm going to an audition or if I'm going to teach or whatever. But a lot of times I don't. I just kind of enjoy where I am and take it in. Every audition I go to, it's like I just tell myself I'm taking a free dance class or a free master class, and it's fun. There's no pressure. It's not like I'm putting this expectation on myself of getting the job or whatever. Even though that's awesome when that happens, it's really cool. But yeah, just not having the pressure, not having the added expectation because it's hard enough what's going on. So I think that's the most fun, is just really expecting nothing and enjoying what comes from the day. How do you fit in healthy eating around your daily schedule? You guys, I'm not gonna lie, I eat a lot of pizza and a lot of ice cream. Like my healthy eating, I know it's like because when you're dancing all the time, like your metabolism is always going and you're always burning calories. And so it's like I just got to have like a whole pizza sometimes. I know that's like the last thing you wanted me to tell them, but it's hard, but it's so important. So one of my new favorite things that I really do love it. I love it, is just making a huge salad. I know it sounds terrible, but it gets better. And adding protein. So you add chicken, you add steak, you add chickpeas or eggs, or just throwing whatever you want to together so that it kind of covers up the lettuce, kind of. And putting a dressing, and it's like the perfect thing. It's more filling. It's like surprisingly more filling than I think it's going to be every time. So, um, yeah, I think that's all of the questions. So, yeah, I'd love to turn it back over to you guys and see if you have anything else.
Thanks, Aud. What you got? They love the fact that you were a mermaid.
Oh yeah, that was a ton of fun. That was the first audition I did when I moved to California, and I didn't know what to expect. I think that was the key. I went in there and I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. So it was really fun. Yeah.
One of the girls says that's her dream job. So
Really? Okay. Yeah, it can happen. I think for the audition, I'm gonna try and find a picture of it for you real quick. I think for the audition, I had to go in there the monologue.
Sorry, what'd you say about Goddess?
Okay. So I had to prepare a monologue. I think it was a minute long, a comedy monologue, which is so not dance, but it was really fun to prepare. And they stopped me after about 15 seconds and then gave me 2 things I had to read for them. So I went into a room, learned them. It was all happened really fast. Came back out and presented them. And one of them was for their Halloween special, and I had to be this like rodeo girl who lived in like Candyland. And so I was like, "Hi, y'all, I'm laughing." Like it was just really weird and fun. And I think her name was like Licorice Lucy or something like that. And then they call me back and they're like, "We want you to be our mermaid." I was like, "Okay," but I'm pretty sure it was because the Miss California running for Miss USA that year was their last mermaid, and she was in Vegas doing that, and so I was like, "Okay, great, that's good to know." So this is me with my sister when I was a mermaid. Purple hair. And you just sat on this shelf and talked to kids, and they come up to you, and it was so fun. So yeah, not exactly dance, but yeah.
Didn't you do the Whoville thing not too long ago?
Yeah, that's right. In December, I joined this company called Royal Entertainers, and they send princesses to girls' birthday parties, events, whatever. But they did this Christmas thing at the baseball stadium in San Diego, and they needed a Martha Whovier from How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So I was their Martha Whovier with the nose.
I have that style.
Yeah. Yeah. The worst thing was I had to wear a prosthetic nose. So I had to learn how to apply prosthetics, which takes glue and all this stuff. And I had this red ring on my face. Like when I went home for Christmas, it was pretty awful, but it was worth it. It was a lot of fun. So, yeah.
What is your experience with dance different or similar to what they portray on TV?
You mean like, so you think you can dance and Dancing with the Stars, things like that?
Yeah. Dance moms, everything like that, they said.
Gosh, you guys dance. Okay.
And I'm sorry, I'm picturing your mom being a dance mom like that, and it
Impossible.
doesn't happen.
Yeah. So actually one of the guys I went to school with, Taylor, he is one of the teachers on Dance Moms right now. And then another girl, Gia, we went to school together. So, Dance Moms is so not like real life. Dance instructors are not Abby Lee. They're really nice. My teacher that I had, growing up, her name was Betsy Carr, and she's the most amazing woman I've ever met. And she was so nurturing and encouraging, and it got me from being like the world's worst dancer to being able to study dance in college. So I think shows like Dance Moms, they're like entertaining and stuff, but it's so not realistic. It's not what it's like at all. I mean, some studios it is, but they're so competition focused. It drives me crazy. That's how kids get burnt out in dance, when you go to competition after competition and they have their success story, that I can't remember her name right now. I'm feeling like I'm not a good dancer for not remembering her name, but who danced with Sia and is doing a lot of stuff in the industry right now. But everybody else just gets burnt out, and it's really hard. And I feel like that takes the beauty and the fun and the true passion out of dance in a way that, this makes me cringe. So,
it's Maddie.
Maddie, yes, thank you. And then, so you think you can dance? I watched that show growing up religiously and had a lot of friends, a lot of people I went to competitions with on that show. Travis Wall, I took class from him growing up all the time. And now he's an instructor on that show and doing super well. And have had a lot of friends audition for it. But even that is hard because it's television. Like, there's such a line drawn between reality and television that you don't even get to know about, because a lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes, where you don't get to choose how they portray you. You don't get to pick your costumes. You don't get to pick the pieces of your story that they tell. And a lot of that is what kind of tells the audience who to vote for, or makes you relate to somebody more than another person. And it's hard because then the dancing gets lost. But I'm thankful for So You Think You Can Dance, because it really puts dance in a light where it's never been before. But at the same time, it's just so not real, not realistic. Yeah.
There's a couple other ones in terms of design.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get a lot of creative freedom when working in design?
It depends on what you want to do. So you can work for a designer. If you like math, pattern making is a hugely math-based thing that design has to have in order to be successful. So a lot of designers go to their pattern makers. They say, this is what I want. Can you draw it up for me? And they do. They use math and they make it happen. I totally forgot what the question was. Oh, freedom, creative freedom. Yes. For what I'm doing right now, I'm in the process of designing a line of leggings. And I drew up my own pattern for that from other patterns that I found just going to Joanne, getting a pattern for McCall's leggings, and then adjusted it in a way that it made the leggings the way that I wanted them to be. From there, I go to fabric warehouses and pick out the fabric that I want. So if you're doing stuff as an individual, trying to create your own brand or create your own kind of design that you want, yes, there's a ton of creative freedom. That's what I love about design. You can draw something up and make it happen. But I think if you're working under somebody, there's a little bit less. But the fact that you are a creative and working in that industry allows you to enjoy what you're doing. So I think it just depends on what you like. If you like more structure, or if you like having no walls, doing what you want, you can find work that way too. So yes and no, I would say.
Tell them, okay, so I'm on the phone with you, what, was it Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
And you just casually were like, yeah, sorry, I'm just finishing sewing a wedding dress right now.
Yeah.
Like, tell them about that.
So another way that I will make money, kind of on the side, it's not my biggest way of income, but is doing alterations. So I had a friend who was getting married on Saturday, this coming Saturday, and her wedding dress needed to be hemmed. It needed to be bustled. So when you have a train for a wedding dress, in order to make it movable for like this after party ceremony, you take the train and you put it up underneath the skirt just by hooks, and then they aren't tripping over all night. So a lot of different things need to be done to her dress, and yeah, it's a good way to stay. I'm all about like staying around, staying in what you love to do, and finding ways to make money from it. So yeah, this needed to be altered, and I could do it. So yeah.
Do you have any advice for beginner seamstress? Like, I make my own costumes and clothes and dresses, and I don't even use patterns. I just go completely all out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Do you have any advice?
Keep doing it. That's amazing. I love that. I did that a lot growing up, and it drove my mom crazy because she uses patterns and she's awesome. And I was like, no, I want it to be like this. And then I would try and make it happen, and learned a lot from trial and error. But I would say there's a lot of schools that would, like, I mean, they love that. FIDM in Los Angeles, they have an amazing fashion design program. And they'll teach you how to market it. They'll teach you how to do everything that you have to do and use your skills to make a career out of it. Yeah, I would say keep doing it. Look for ways that you can get that into the public where maybe you offer a service. I mean, dressmaking used to be huge in a sense that people, they couldn't go to the store and buy one of this kind of dress in their size and then see it on somebody else, you know, walking on the street. They needed their dresses to either stay in style or just fit them. And so they would take it to a dressmaker who would either adjust it to fit the style or adjust it to fit their bodies better. And that way they had the same dress that would just keep getting remade and redone. And I think that needs to come back. I'm all for eco-friendly ways of, that's a whole nother thing. But I would say that don't limit yourself in that, because that's amazing and that's so fun. Yeah.
Yeah, like my mom, I was making a dress and I was like, I want to make this because I was going to a thing with my friend. And she was like, you don't have time. She's like, you can't do it. You don't have a pattern. I'm like, bet. And I finished it in like 2 days.
Yes, that's awesome. That's so good. That my boyfriend and I were going to this party at a museum. It was kind of just like a auction kind of thing. And this dress that I was wearing, I didn't like the way that it was looking on me. I wanted it to be a little bit longer. So I found this strip of fabric in my fabric box, and it had a scalloped lace edge. And I was like, can you just give me 10 minutes? I'm going to add this to the hem of my dress. So I sat down and I literally stitched myself in the dress, added length to the front. And then I was like, okay, now it's actually long enough to wear in public. And so, yeah, it's a really useful tool in a lot of different ways. Yeah.
Girls, anything with pants or no?
How do you feel like now, what's your opinion on schools not teaching students on how to sew a button or how to fix?
Oh, this is a good one. Did you hear a question?
Kind of. Can you repeat it for me?
What's your opinion on schools not teaching basically life skills of sewing and those types of scenarios? I said this would be a good question for your mom.
Yeah, I think it would be. I think that I know it's so limited with funding. I really hate what's happening in schools about programs getting cut, but at the same time, it has encouraged a lot of people who believe in having those kinds of classes in school. It's encouraged them to do something about it. And so I love the rise in that's happening right now, but I think there needs to be more of it. I think that not having classes that teach things like that, sewing, cooking, it sounds a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost like olden times, like, you know, think like past standards that just don't exist anymore, thank goodness. But at the same time, it's so not, because the way that we consume material items right now, the way that clothing gets made, how you can go and buy a t-shirt for $5 and then buy 10 more. And it didn't used to be like that. It used to be the things that you had, you wore them until there was a hole in it or something, and then you fixed it, and then you kept wearing it. And items were made with such an amazing quality that just doesn't exist anymore. And then the people who are making them live in countries where they are 1,000 people to a room sitting at sewing machines, breathing in really horrible chemicals. And then compared to like livestock farming, the fashion industry creates the second most amount of pollution in the world. So finding ways that bring design and sewing and things like that into the public eye in a way that encourages that they be learned instead of bought, I think is huge. And I really would love to see brought back into school. That's my opinion on that.
When we were talking earlier, you made the comment of they're not gonna believe I'm from California
Mm-hmm.
because she's so pale.
I'm so pale.
Completely. I don't think that they would believe, honestly, really what you enjoy to do on your free time. Like what you plan on doing today after this phone call.
Oh, we're going fishing this afternoon.
Like, would any of you girls picture that?
No.
This family is huge in outdoors.
Oh yeah.
So,
When I was home for Christmas, we went hunting. Coming home this week, we want to go bluegill fishing because I think they're gonna be off the beds pretty soon because of the weather. But it stayed cold enough. I sound ridiculous right now. It stayed cold enough so that they aren't quite gone yet, and we can go. My mom just won master, like she's in the running for a master, like she won a master angler award for bluegill fishing, and so we're going this week. I think we're gonna go tomorrow too. Yeah.
I just think it's so cool. Like, people don't expect it, and
Yeah. Roots are important. Where you came from is so important. I think I love the fact that I grew up in Michigan because I feel so much more grounded than the people that I meet out in California. I'm not out here looking for my identity while at the same time trying to make my dreams happen. You know, it's something that was instilled in me growing up, and I'm so thankful for that. Yeah. So, yeah.
How old were you when you started dancing in that studio?
how old were you?
I was 7 when I started dancing. And I was terrible. You guys, I can't stress how, anyway, yeah. So I was taking like a ballet class and a jazz class. And then I would see there were girls in, we called it company, and it was a group that you had to audition to get into, and then you would travel to competitions. So the more that I was at the studio, I would see these girls and be like, man, that looks like so much fun. They're learning so much and they're always dancing, and that's what I want to do. And so I worked to a point where I could actually be good enough to audition to be in company, and then made it, I think, when I was 9 or 10. And was still like the bottom of the barrel, but worked to a place where by the time I was a senior in high school, you know, I was offered dance scholarships. Like I never thought that would happen. So I think a lot of people think, oh, if I didn't start dancing by the time I was 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, I'm not going to be good enough. But that's such a lie. It's so not true. You can start dancing whenever. So
Did you, at Traverse City, did you have a dance class in school?
no, but we had a dance team that met before school and after school.
Were you part of that?
I wasn't, but a lot of the girls that I danced with were. And we also we put on musicals at school, and there was dancing in that. So I always did wherever I could dance, I would dance. So I always did the musicals at school. So, yeah.
Anything? Well, I got one. I wrote down something you said earlier, and it said not limiting yourself to who you're hanging out with.
Mm-hmm.
That was a huge lesson I learned in college, and it sounded like you did as well. I mean,
Yeah.
you broaden on that just a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. When I was in college, dancers hung out with dancers. They went to events with dancers. I only did things dancers were doing, but not doing that. I met people who were interning under designers in England and were studying different things that, man, you can find, there's so much richness in doing something and hearing about things and learning about things outside of what you love. And if anything, and it gives you, sorry, my phone. Can you still see me and hear me? Thumbs up if you can hear me and see me. Cool. Okay, sorry, my phone just did something weird. I think it's so important to do that because then you don't put a wall up where, oh, I can only do the thing that I know. It's so not true. The more that you learn and the more that you're willing to experience, and I mean that like in like good things, I think the more doors get opened. Um, I had a friend who was studying PR in college, and he actually was the one who got to intern under a designer in England. I mean, he took it because he's interested in fashion and just wanted to see what that would be like, and he ended up like sewing tassels on purses or something, and he was like, I never thought I'd be doing that. Like, I just went there for a PR internship and loved it. Now he moved to Australia, and he lived in Australia and worked for Patagonia just in their store and saved up, and he's been traveling the world for the past like 3 months. So I mean, there's so much out there, that other things other than what you love have to offer. So yeah, and I just feel like I became such a more well-rounded person because of that. Um, and I didn't get caught up in the grind of, okay, this is the only thing I can do. This is all that I know. Um, because I feel like if that were the case, I would just be stuck going to audition after audition right now and just kind of hating my life, because the audition hustle, is what people call it, is kind of the worst. Because you go and you hear no, and you go and you hear no, and then like one time out of 50 you hear yes, about getting a job. And I have friends who were in college who have only been hearing no, and it's like, okay, but do something else too. Like, keep your passion alive by just, yeah, doing other things to keep you around dance or around what it is you want to do. So was that like a similar experience to what you had in college?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, playing softball and basketball in college, I mean, you automatically have that family of the basketball team, the softball team. But it wasn't until really my junior year that I realized that I had in common more with people who were outside of those sports. And I don't know. And in high school, I was friends with any person under the sun. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you're right that it makes you think a little bit more. It broadened your horizons. It made you more well-rounded and
Mm-hmm.
understanding. So, no, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. And I think there's such a key thing in, just because like your circle of like your comfort zone, like dancers, softball players, whatever, just because they want to stick with something, like you're not limited to that same thing as them, you know? So yeah,
We got another question.
cool.
Doing dance and focusing on that so much during your school years, like doing musicals and stuff, how do you keep up with your academics and just any other thing that you want to do? Like, how was your school time?
I heard the first part, focusing on dance.
Focusing on dance and everything throughout school, how did you keep up with your grades and social life as well?
Yeah.
And social life?
Mm-hmm. Honestly, you guys, I have no idea how I did that. Um, I don't even remember. It not only this like makes me feel old. Was it like 7 years ago? Um, but no, maybe not that. I don't even know. Not that long. But I did. I mean, I was at school during what?
I said, unfortunately, you are right. It was 7 years ago.
Yeah. Feel old. Anyway, I still think of myself as 16 sometimes, and then I remember I'm not, and then it's just like hits me all over again. So I mean, I did student council, I did AP classes, I did after school activities, and I don't remember how I did it all. I think I just liked it, and I would do school, and then I would go to the studio after, and then my parents would always, whatever was for dinner that night, they would just put it on a plate for me and stick it in the fridge, and they were like, whenever Audrey gets home, she'll eat. But then after I got home, I'd stay up and do homework and eat and study. Get to bed. Usually it was around midnight, maybe a little later. And then get up the next morning and do it all again. That's what Sundays are for, right? To catch up on sleep. Yeah, it was just hard work, but honestly, I don't remember it feeling like hard work because it was fun. So, yeah.
Anyone else? So Odd, if you had to leave these girls, and again, these are freshmen, sophomores, and juniors in here right now, what would be your one message they've heard from you?
I think it's really easy to look at what's around you and look at your environment, and from that perspective, create what you can and can't do, or think because of where I am, because of this and that, I can't do something, or just to look at your surroundings and tell yourself what you can and can't do. But that's so not true. Um, I think also another thing at that age I remember struggling with was like, maybe not struggling with, but just kind of discovering and developing was knowing that because of the things other people were doing, like looking at that, being like, oh, I have to be like that. But you don't. You carry a uniqueness and an individuality that the world needs. And I think believing that, and then looking at what's around you and choosing for yourself and being able to say, I love this because I love it. And I'm going to pursue it. Just making that choice early on would have been, I mean, when I was a senior in high school, I kind of made that decision, but making it early on would have been a really good thing for me. And knowing that you will get pushback. Like the world is so quick to push back on who you are and be like, that doesn't really align with like what we call pretty or what we call this, and that it doesn't matter. Just the sooner that I would have developed into that, I think the better off you will be, the better off I would have been. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for having me. Yeah, thanks for all the questions. Those are so good.
Thanks, Odd, again. I will text you here, but I will stop the broadcast. So.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Love you.
Yeah, thank you. Love you. See you guys.